स्थापकायश्च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। Music and voice are in balance. Yeah. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihit Kale, Samprapte Sannihit Kale, Nahi nahi rakshati dukrum karne, Nahi nahi rakshati dukrum karne, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Mure jahi dhanagam krishnam, Mure jahi dhanagam krishnam, Guru sadbuddhim manasi vitreshnam, Guru sadbuddhim manasi vitreshnam, Yallab se nij karmopatam, Yallab se nij karmopatam, Vittam tena vinodaya chetam, Vittam tena vinodaya chetam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Yavadveto parjana satah, Tavan nij parivaro ratah, Yavadveto parjana satah, Tavan nij parivaro ratah, पश्चात जीवित जर्जर दे, पश्चात जीवित जर्जर दे, को बिना पृच्छति गे, वातां को बिना पृच्छति गे, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Moodmate. Ma Kuru Dhan Jan Yovan Garvam. Ma Kuru Dhan Jan Yovan Garvam. Arti Nimesha Kala Sarvam. Arti Nimesha Kala Sarvam. Maya Mayamidam Akhilam Hitva. Maya Mayamidam Akhilam Hitva. Brahmapadam Tvam Pravisha Veditva. Brahmapadam Tvam Pravisha Veditva. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Moodmate. सुर मंदिर तरु मूल निवासः सय्या भूतलम् अजिनं वासः सुर मंदिर तरु मूल निवासः सय्या भूतलम् अजिनं वासः सर्व परिग्रह भोग त्यागः सर्व परिग्रह भोग त्यागः कस्यं सुखं न करोति विरागः कस्यं सुखं न करोति विरागः भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भगवद्गीता किंचिदधीता भगवद्गीता किंचिदधीता गंगा जललव कणिक पीता गंगा जललव कणिक पीता सद्गृह्येन मुरारी सद्गृह्येन मुरारी समर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भज गोविन्दं Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudamate. So this antra today, Bhagavad Gita Kinchid Adhita. Bhagavad is that of God. Bhagavad Gita. Gita is song. Gita is song. So Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. The song of God. Kinchid Adhita. A little bit also. Adhita is adhyay karna, study karna. थोड़ा सा भी आप अध्याय करोगे उस गीत का. Which Geet? The song of God. And again, I always like to interpret in the broadest sense of the term. It is not just about studying the book or studying that particular book. It's about the song of God. Study the song of God. A little bit even if you study the song of God. And what is the song of God? Every sound is the sound of God. Every song is the song of God. Every person is the song of God. Every flower is a song of God. Every event is a song of God. Every star is a song of God. But to study the stars, study the whatever you study science, study physics, study art, study commerce. But if you study it as the song of God in this form, song of God in the form of numbers, song of God in the form of money, wealth, song of God in this form of beauty is art, song of God in this form of structure, architecture, song of God in this form of science, engineering. Study that little bit, knowing that this is the song of God, knowing that this is the song of God. Kinchidadhita, study it a little bit. And of course, the Bhagavad Gita itself, the book which we are all familiar with, that one also. And Rumi's poetry, and Shakespeare's sonnets, and William Blake's poetry, and you know, all the beautiful works in all forms. Study it, knowing that this is a song of God. Imagine if you knew that whatever you hear, whoever is speaking the song of God, is speaking the language of God. This is how God is speaking right now. Whoever is speaking in front of you. Knowing this, if you hear that, what would be your attention level? What would be your engrossment? What would be your involvement? What would be your care, love, respect for whatever is being said? If you knew this is God speaking, and all song is God's song, all sound is God's sound, and all study is God's study, including astronomy. I don't know if you guys heard about the James Webb telescope, which has been launched 2 days ago. This is a telescope. See, whenever you have a telescope on Earth, of course, go through all the atmospheric interference, the air and the clouds and the stratosphere and the ions and the ozone and whatever else is there before you get to see the stars and the light from the stars. So what they did with the Hubble is they put the telescope in outer space, so it's beyond the atmosphere, and 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 then so the Hubble is out in outer space outside the atmosphere, but the James Webb telescope, which they've just launched 2 days ago, has been launched. Right now it is 6 lakh kilometers away. Okay, right now it's 6 lakh kilometers away. The distance from Earth to Moon is about 3 lakh kilometers. So this is already 6 lakh kilometers, twice the distance to the Moon already it has reached. And it is eventually going to reach 15 lakh kilometers away from Earth, 16 lakh kilometers away, and another lakh to the sun. So from the sun, it will be about 16 lakh kilometers or 17 lakh kilometers away, facing the other way from the sun. And it is going to read the heat signatures of the most distant stars. The stars, do you know that when you look at the stars, you are just not just looking into space, you're looking back into time. Did you know this? You're looking back in time. The star that you're looking at right now, when you look at a star, that light, for example, the nearest star is 4 light years away, meaning that light which you're looking at, that star right now, left that star 4 years ago. That light left the star 4 years ago, and now you're seeing it. So you're not just looking into space, you're looking back in time. And the farther back, the more distant the star light you look at, the further back you're going in time. So you're not looking at, the star may not even be there right now. Maybe it exploded, destroyed, gone. But you still see it because this is light which is just coming now. 4 years ago it left. And like that, further and further. So this James Webb telescope, which is going to be facing away from the sun, looking way into deep space, it has such a strong, powerful telescope. There are 16 mirrors, gold-plated mirrors, which is going to reflect whatever light it gets. And it's looking at the infrared part of the light spectrum. So not visible light, but infrared light. They say that if this telescope was sitting on the moon, it would be able to detect the heat signature of a mouse on Earth. That's how sensitive it is. That's how powerful it is. So this telescope is going to look into space at stars that were born 13 billion, BBB, 13 billion years ago. So we are going to look at the universe, the way the universe looked right in the beginning. How did it look when the universe started? That's what we are going to be able to see. And it's a whole elaborate dance, how this telescope is going to unfurl, because it is all packed up. There are dozens or hundreds of motors which are slowly unwrapping this whole telescope and making it into that mirror which is going to look. Anyway, to me, that is the dance of divine. To me, that is a look into another form of divine. Another song, another distant song that is being played out there from that long in the past. And so Bhagavad Gita Kinchid Adhita. Ganga Jala Lava. Ganga, everyone knows. Jala, everyone knows. Water. Lava. Lava is a drop. Ganga Jala Lava. A droplet of water. Kanika Pita. Meaning if you just have a little drop of Ganga Jal. So study the song of God and drink some Ganga Jal. And Ganga Jal again is symbolic. Drink in purity, drink in love, drink in greatness, drink in divine, in whatever form. And Ganga Jal, of course, they say it has very extremely wonderful properties, where the biome of the Ganga water is such that bacteria which are harmful to humans just cannot survive in that water. And there are bacteria present in Ganga Jal which are good for the human gut. I mean, you know that lots of microbes and bugs live in our gut, you know that, right? Millions of bacteria which are good for us live in our gut and help with the digestion and all that. So Ganga Jal is also very precious, but again, we can interpret it as drinking in the truth, drinking in love, drinking in what is powerful. So Ganga Jala Lava Kanika Pita. Okay, and then Sakridapi Yena. Sakridapi means even once. Sakridapi, even once. Yena, a person, that one, the person. Yena means that, the one. The one who even once, Murari Samarcha. Murari is Krishna, divine, God, consciousness, awareness, source, presence, love, truth, beauty. So even once Samarcha, Samarcha means worship, worship. Sakridapi yena murari samarcha. So even once if you worship this awareness, become aware of awareness, being aware of awareness, becoming in love, being in love with awareness, which is ultimately the only truth there is. Everything else just comes and goes. There's only this which is permanent. In the midst of all this impermanence of the world, that which is permanent. The challenge is always finding that which is permanent in the midst of all that is impermanent. That is, in a nutshell, the definition of life. Life is the process of discovering the permanent in the middle of the impermanent. We are bombarded with things which are impermanent, and if being able to see the permanent in the midst of this impermanence is the entire journey. So Sakridapi, even once, Yena, Murari Samarcha. Okay, if you do that even once, what happens? What happens is you discover this permanent, is truly permanent. It survives not only thought and circumstance and people and words and situations, but it also survives the body. It was there before the body came into existence, and it will be there when the body disappears. Because there is no evidence, no one has ever experienced the disappearance of awareness. People have experienced, there is no experience of birth, there is no experience of death of that awareness. There is an experience of death of the body, there's an experience of death of birth of the body. But there is no experience of birth of awareness. There is no experience called birth of, experience of end of awareness. So awareness has no beginning and no end. So you discover that when you, even for one moment, if you look at that which you are, and that which you are comes immediately, instead of asking difficult, complicated, and hard to understand questions like, or affirmations, I am pure consciousness. What the heck does that mean even? Instead of asking such complicated questions, or even as complicated as who am I, even that leaves you a little bit lost. Um, and even less complicated or even more simple is, am I aware? And finally, the simplest question that I have ever been able to put this whole philosophical study in, are you there? How, it cannot be simpler than that. Are you there? You can ask a most illiterate or uneducated person on the street and they will know what you mean if they understand language. Are you there? But if you say, are you aware? They'll say, of what? Are you conscious? What is that? Are you pure consciousness? Not just what is that? What the hell is that? So, in its simplest form, are you there? And immediately you touch that divine, that Murari. Sakridapi yena Murari Samarcha. Even once, if you touch this awareness, this divine, this consciousness, even once, immediately you know that it has always been there and it doesn't change. When I was 3 years old, oh, same thing. That was experiencing my 3-year-old self playing in the mud or whatever. The same one running this business, the same one talking right now, the same one, the same one, the same one. So immediately you know that. And immediately when you know that this is permanent, eternal, the next line talks about that. The next line says, Kriyate tasya yame nana charcha. Kriyate means karte. Kriyate tasya. Tasya yani ye na और tasya. वो जिसको और उसको. तस्य, तो पहली लाइन में था सकृदपि ये न, उसको, जिसने ये मुरारी को देखा है एक बार भी, उसको क्रियति ये न, क्रियति तस्य, यमे न चर्चा, यमे यानी यम, यम यानी द गॉड ऑफ डेथ, यम भी उसके साथ चर्चा ही नहीं करता. देयर इज नो डिस्कशन विद यमा. मीनिंग व्हाट? देयर इज नो फियर ऑफ यमा. There is no fear of Yama. There is no regret at the time of death. There is nothing to fear Yama, because you have touched Murari. You have touched that eternal part of yourself. And when you touch that eternal part of yourself, you know you are permanent. And all that leaves is the body. But you do not leave. You do not disappear. You are never destroyed. So there is no fear of death. Raminana Charcha means there is nothing to discuss. Okay, the body is going willingly and happily. Goodbye. Because I know I am still there. Kriyate tasya yamena na charcha. No regrets, no fears. Then what is there to discuss with death or negotiate? Arey thoda aur time chahiye. Arey you are eternal. You are eternal. Charcha ki koi gunjaish nahi hai. Charcha ki koi zarurat nahi hai. There is no need for discussion. There is nothing to discuss. Just like everything comes and goes, this body comes and goes. So kriyati tasya yamena na charcha. So to live like that, to live life such that there is nothing to discuss when it comes to yam. You just happily let go. And to whom will that happen? Who has even touched this awareness once? And you have not just touched it once, you have touched it hundreds of times now. Every time I've asked you, are you there? What have you touched? You have touched that in you which is permanent. So you are free. And when this freedom from yam is there, freedom from the god of death, that is when life can be lived with full excitement, with full joy, with full celebration, full on. Because this is what prevents us a lot of the time. Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita Bhagavad Gita Kinchidadhita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Sakridapiyena Murari Sakridapiyena Murari Samarcha Kriyati tasya yamena charcha Kriyasi tasya yamena charcha Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Murmate. So this particular verse, of course, the Rag Malika, as I told you, starts with Yaman, then goes to Vrindavani, Sarang, and then Punta Varali, and Bageshri, and Bihag, and now this is Nandakarani. So this is very similar to Bhairav. It's very similar to Bhairav. Saridama pa ma gama re sarida re gama pa ma ga re sa Bhagavad Gita Kanchidadita. So it's on that particular raga. But here is a couple of interesting things about the music part of this. So as you notice in all the verses so far, it just continues. Every word, it just keeps going. Did you notice here? It stops in between. In between, it stops. Sakradapi yena morari. So Murari, the word Murari appears, and suddenly the whole composition stops there. Just see the beauty of the composer's mind. So every word you just keep going. But now Murari, divine itself, consciousness, awareness has appeared in the song. In the Antara for the first time. We have talked about Taru and this and the tree and the mandir and this, but we have never said the word, the name of God, which is ultimately the name. There is only one name, and that name is I. But Murari, another name for that same I. So when this Murari word comes, suddenly the composition stops and wants to talk about it, wants to sing about it, wants to adorn it. जैसे पूजा करते हैं, फूल चढ़ाते हैं, वैसे यहाँ स्वर चढ़े जा रहे हैं मुरारी का नाम आते ही. So see how it goes. Sakridapiyena morari Sakridapiyena morari samarcha. Like that. So instead of just going Sakridapiyena Murari Samarcha, Samarcha is worshipping. It stops on Murari. See the beauty of it, how beautiful that is to just stop at that and take some time. Somebody told me something very beautiful today. He says, a man passes away and finally encounters God. And man and God both look at each other and say, my creator. You get it? Man and God both say, my creator. So it's a mutual admiration society. MAS. So another one he told me also, this friend of mine. So we were talking about Bhaj Govindam after tennis. So he told me about this other one also. This man, another person passes away and meets God, and God says to him, so how was heaven? I thought I was going to find heaven afterwards. Mood mate. This is the heaven. This is the heaven. the I amness, knowing this knowledge, this beauty, this mystery, this opportunity, this love, this life. संसार से भागे फिरते हो, भगवान को तुम क्या पाओगे? You heard that song, चित्रलेखा. इस लोक को भी अपना न सके, उस लोक को क्या अपनाओगे? So, so I
Sing that
forgot.
song.
I don't know which rag now. Let's see. संसार से भागे फिरते हो, भगवान को तुम क्या पाओगे? इस लोग को भी अपना ना सके, उस लोग को तुम क्या पाओगे? संसार से भागे फिरते हो. What's the yantra? Yeah, I got it. Wait, huh? Okay. Oh wow, what words? Oh ho ho ho. Oh. रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरे I'm forgetting the tune, but ये पाप है क्या, ये पुण्य है क्या, रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरे हैं. ये पाप है क्या, ये पुण्य है क्या, रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरे हैं. हर युग में बदलते धर्मों को, हर युग में बदलते धर्मों को कैसे आदर्श बनाओगे? संसार से भागे फिरते हो, भगवान को तुम क्या पाओगे? उस लोग को. Yeah, the other antras are also very good. We should take this fully. One satsang will take it. ये भोग भी एक तपस्या है, तुम त्याग के मारे क्या जानो, अपमान रचयिता का होगा, रचना को अगर ठुकराओगे. क्या बात है. अपमान रचयिता का होगा, अपमान रचयिता को अगर ठुकराओगे. Yeah, so रचना को अगर ठुकराओगे, how can you respect the divine if you reject his creation? How can you say that this is, I'm going to just, forget about it. It's like, how is that possible? It's like saying I love Raj Kapoor, but none of his films, all horrible films. It doesn't make sense. So like that. And so मुरारी पे ये कॉम्पोजिशन जाके अटकता है और रुकता है, अटकता is a wrong word, रुकता है, ठहराव नहीं है. There is no complaint. So to live life such that we can say bye to it without regrets and easily and without sorrow and in balance. Uh, and then the interesting thing here, since here's the composer has talked about death and that time is less. So now, Abhi tak the Bhaj Govindam was in Yaman, and now he sings the Bhaj Govindam also in this same Nandakarni that which is similar to Bhairav Rag. And Bhairav is a very bhare wala rag. So it's a see the tune of Bhaj Govindam, the normal tune you remember. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam, like that. So in this one, after this antara, see how the Bhaj Govindam is sung. It's almost like a threat. Wake up. Watch how it is. सकृदपियेन मुरारि समर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमे नन चर्चा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं like that. Bhaj Govindam, like it's almost there's a danger sign, time is passing. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. It's like a warning sign. It's a warning almost. So far, it's pleading with you. Bhaj Govindam, more chale bhai, bhaj, samajh isko. But abhi to threat hai. Death is waiting. Yama is waiting at any point. So, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. There's a little sorrow, a little grief, a little karuna, a little threat, fear, everything is there in these notes. And then switch back to the light version. Watch how the switch transition also so sweet. Bhaj, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Back to sweet. Bhaj Govindam. So थोड़ा भड़का दिया, थोड़ा क्या कहते हैं, थ्रेटन कर दिया, थोड़ा डरा दिया, थोड़ा रुला दिया, और फिर बैक टू चल यार भज गोविंदम. Such a beautiful. So how the whole words, the music, the tune, everything goes so hand in hand. So yeah, and I thought that Murari, stopping at Murari was like a stroke of genius. Speaking of genius, I read something. I found one coffee mug today lying around. I started drinking from it and then I saw it. And I don't know if you can read it, but I took a picture of the mug. Wait, I have to take away the blurry. Oh. You saw it? So it says, Talent hits a target that no one else can hit, but genius hits a target that no one else can see. So this is that kind of genius. Stopping at Murari, no one can think of, okay, Murari. If you're just singing, you'll just keep singing. But this is, no one can see that. Arey, this is an opportunity. This is a chance. Either. For the first time, the name, and now it is time to adorn it, to pause and worship. Wonderful. So, any thoughts, questions, comments before we close? So there are nine verses which we will be doing. I think this is the 5th. 4 more are there out of the 31. We will read. We'll go through all 31, but these 9 are the gems out of these. And if you count the main antra, then it is 10. So we've done the 5th one, and if you count the first one, then this is the 6th. So 4. So anyway, tomorrow, New Year's Eve, and all that. So we'll be having a special New Year's Eve satsang. Sonal, would you please post the details of that satsang? So we're going to have two sessions. Okay, one is going to be our usual 7:30 to 9 session, which will be just whatever. Manojji and I are probably going to be together, and mostly we will conduct it together. And then right after New Year's, so celebrating the coming of the new year, which is, so we will have at the same link another session at 10 minutes after 12. So we'll again meet at 10 minutes after 12 for about 15-20 minutes or whatever. And again, we will talk about the new year and bringing in the new life and the new time and opportunity for whatever. So the link will be there. Sonal will be posting, so you can join us at 7:30 tomorrow and at 10 after 12 midnight. Okay, great. So wonderful. So if you are, whether you are at home because of all this pandemic and whatever, we can still celebrate and have a party for New Year's. And it'll be an early party for Nilima in California. Sunrise ho gaya, Nilima ji? Sunrise ho gaya? You're on mute. Everyone's on mute, maybe.
Yeah, I will send you the photographs.
Okay. Yeah, share the photographs, please.
It's very nice and beautiful.
Wonderful. Okay, great. So any questions or comments about today's session? Anything?
It's very amazing session, literally feeling cry. Tears in my eyes. It's very amazing. I have to repeat this session again.
Sure.
Because it is first time तो ये होता है, लेकिन I have to go and go. ऐसा लगता है कि सुनते रहो, और इतना डेथ को इतने ब्यूटीफुल तरीके से इस वर्स में बताया, एंड यू जो सेलिब्रेट, सो आज तो लगता है डेथ इज नथिंग, इट्स अ सेलिब्रेशन. बहुत बार सुना था, यू नो, एवरी टाइम कहीं से भी मैं ओशो का पढ़ती हूँ, सेलिब्रेशन.
राइट.
हाउ यू नरेटेड इन द वे यू नरेटेड, इट्स वेरी ब्यूटीफुल थिंग. कि इतना अच्छा भी खूबसूरत होगा, यू नो, यू हैव टू थिंक इन दैट वे. इफ यू थिंक इन दैट वे, इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल थिंग, देन यू वो डर निकल जाएगा शायद.
Yep. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you for perceiving all that. Great. Wonderful. I'm so happy that you're all here again today. हाँ पुरुषोत्तम जी बोलिए.
मेरे कनेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन वीडियो ऑफ रख के बोलूंगा.
ओके, श्योर.
आज मुझे बहुत ही ब्लेस्ड लग रहा है. ब्लेस्ड ऐसे कि आप जिस धरातल पे या जिस लेवल पे ले जा रहे हैं हमको, अंडरस्टैंडिंग के और एक्सपीरियंस के भी, मतलब जो क्लासिकल म्यूजिक और रागा, उसका मूड और उसका जो, मतलब वो अपने आप में एक दुनिया है म्यूजिक. और उस दुनिया को जो भज गोविंदम वाला जो एक पार्ट है, उसको जैसे आपने बताया कि जहाँ मुरारी का नाम आया, वो बहुत ही अल्टीमेट है. मतलब मुरारी का नाम आया मतलब भगवान का नाम आया. जहाँ वो है वहाँ सब वही है और कुछ नहीं है. तो ये इतना उस लेवल तक, मतलब मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऐसे ढंग से कोई समझ के समझाने वाला मेरे जिंदगी में कोई आएगा।
Yes.
बहुत ही अल्टीमेट है ये, मतलब। और आपने जब बोला ना कि आपने यदि जिंदगी में एक बार भी वो यदि एक्सपीरियंस किया है तो आपका मतलब डर निकल जाएगा यम का, ये भज गोविंदम के इसमें है। तो ये फीलिंग तो हमको इतने इजीली, आर यू देयर, मतलब इतने आसानी से मिला, इसलिए शायद उसकी कीमत नहीं समझ में आ रही, लेकिन वो इतना अल्टीमेट है कि उसको वो इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते कि किस लेवल पे जा रहे हैं।
Absolutely.
मतलब ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये ओपन डोर बोले तो बोले, एक्चुअल में एक स्वर्ग के द्वार खुल गए।
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
बहुत
And
अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लेवल पे और ये इसके बीइंग के लेवल पे अलग ही धरातल पे लेके जा रहा है। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
most welcome. And I'll tell you one thing, that it is जैसे, हाँ पांडे जी, जैसे म्यूचुअल एडमिरेशन सोसाइटी है इधर, वैसा इधर भी वही है. I would have, supposing I had been on my own, not leading these workshops and sessions and all, I would have enjoyed Bhaj Govindam. I would have maybe studied it a little bit. But जिस बारीकी से मैं समझ रहा हूँ इसको, और जिस बारीकी से सीख रहा हूँ इसको, where I was singing this particular antra and I was like, I'm sounding like a Carnatic singer with all the gamaks coming properly and all by itself, because I'm really getting into it, and that is thanks to you all. It is because I know I'm going to share this with you, which inspires me and prompts me to go as deep as possible and bring out whatever we can to share with all of you. So it is just like that little story about God and man see each other and say, "My Creator." That's the same thing.
Ultimate है वो तो.
Yeah. So that's the same thing here. So it is because you all are present and you all have this opening, this openness. Openness है तो ये open door कुछ काम का है. Otherwise, open door without openness would be as good as a closed door. So,
exactly.
तो हाँ पांडे जी.
पांडे जी अपने अंदाज में कुछ कह रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल वो वैसा ही होना चाहिए.
ये किसने छेड़ा है राग ठुमरी.
अच्छा.
ये किसने छेड़ा है राग ठुमरी, ये कौन गा रहा है. किसने छेड़ा है राग ठुमरी, ये कौन गा रहा है. झनकृत हो गया है मनोरात्मा, जीवन मदमस्त हुआ जा रहा है.
मदमस्त हुआ जा रहा है.
झनकृत हुआ है मनोरात्मा, जीवन मदमस्त हुआ जा रहा है. ये किसने छेड़ा है राग ठुमरी, ये कौन गा रहा है.
ये कौन गा रहा है. बिल्कुल बढ़िया.
अंदर का देवत्व झर रहा है इसमें आज.
Thank you. And we can remind ourselves at every moment, every sound, every person, everything is the song of God. Bhagavad Gita. चाहे जिस रूप में आ रही है, रूप के परे, रूप के पार देखना है कि ये भी भगवद गीता ही है. Every moment, every person, every event, every place, every time. So that's the sadhana for us.
ये जो song जब आपने पहली बार कराया था, when you did it for the first time, I just found it amazing. So I shared it with my husband कि I think I've heard the best song of my life. So he was like, okay, let's hear it. So when it came कि पेड़ के नीचे, oh fool, forget the grammar, पेड़ के नीचे was too bad. So then he there he said कि ये तो सही नहीं है.
अच्छा.
कि भाई पेड़ के नीचे मतलब फिर तो हमें लाइफ में कोई एम्बिशंस ही नहीं होने चाहिए.
Correct.
So I didn't know what to
say.
I was like, no, this is right. If you say it's right, okay. But जब last session सुना इतनी बारीकी से, so I compared it. I went to him, I told him, no, what this means is कि भाई even if it's a BMW, even if it's a Mercedes, हर चीज, so that way we can compare it with today's time and make even others bring it to,
Bring it to everyone's aware. Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Tathastu. Tathastu. May we grow from 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000 and millions. So with you are all the pioneers, you are all the seeds which are sprouting, and which will spread this knowledge everywhere. Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for the divine presence that you bring in your form to this. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May all beings experience bliss, joy, and happiness everywhere. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just post it, sir. You can watch after.